Hello and welcome back to 100 Days of Magic. Here we are on day 35. We are a little over a third of the way through. Boy, wow, setting a new intention, following through on a new habit, you hit about now and you realize, wow, I'm going to have to keep doing this for another, how many days left? 65 days to go? But hey, when you hit those moments, that's when you have to dig a little bit deeper and remember why you are doing what you are doing. In our case, we're doing this because we are trying to create a magical habit in our worlds. You're trying to create a magical habit in order to spend more time thinking about what magic is and how you can add a little bit more consciousness to everything that you do on a daily basis. I'm creating a habit because I get to show up and be with you every day, which is a different way for me to be working on all the stuff that I do to support the Crossroads and my School of Magic and Mastery. So I'm really glad we're taking this together. It's always awesome to be together when it comes to magic. We all help each other out by holding space, holding energetic space. And, I'm an extrovert. It's just more fun that way. Hello, Boris. Hello, Claudia. Hello, Karen. It's good to see you all. I'm glad you're here today. We are talking about altars and sacred spaces today. Speaking of holding space, altars are, in essence, a way to hold space for spirit wherever we have one. They are a focal point and an anchor point for our spiritual intentions. Bringing an altar into your world, whether it is a permanent altar or a more temporary seasonal altar, doesn't really matter as much as the intention that is behind it. Now, when you start thinking of them as anchor points for spirit, you can realize that it's not about so much what's on the altar or who the altar is for or its generic purpose in the world, rather than it's holding energy. And so you want to hold energy for whatever you intend to work with. So altars can be as simple as, perhaps a flower and a candle, or maybe a stone that you love, or they can be as complicated and take up a quarter of a wall filled up with your magical things. Or they can be a working altar where you come there to do certain spells for certain tasks. All that is up to you and your creativity. When we're making an altar, we are thinking about how we are anchoring spirit in our world. So a simple house altar could incorporate all the things that we have been talking about over the past few days. It could have a fire element for your house. It could have a water element for your house. It could have something that represents air for your space, something that represents water for your space. It could include pictures of your favorite gods or goddesses. It could include aspects that reflect your totem allies, little statues, anything that helps you connect to spirit might be an appropriate thing for a house altar. The house altar is something that can help you maintain a clear space in your house, even if you aren't doing space clearing rituals, once a month, twice a month. You don't have to do them as often, because when you set up your home altar, you can include things that are charged, meaning you have decided to work with them with intention for a certain goal at the end of the day. It's always better to use examples. So here's this great little generator crystal. It's a kind of pink for a clear crystal, so I like the energy that it has for my space. This is the generator crystal for my house. So when I set up my house altar, this is on my house altar, and its job is to hold together the network of all the other crystals in my house that are holding space for me and what I do in my house, whether it was seeing clients back before, pandemic world, or if it's all the work that I do for creating, videos and classes and tutorials and all those other things. Um, so for me, this is an anchor point. So instead of having to run around my house every week or something, I trust that my ally here will work with all the crystals in my house to hold that network together. And so, once a quarter, maybe around the newer full moon, just when it feels right, we will, in the regular course of cleaning things in my house, pull all the crystals together that form the network of my house, and they come and they meet up with this, generator one, and they all have a little conversation like tuning up your Wi-Fi. They all get dusted, they all get cleaned off, and they all get put back where they are as part of the general maintenance. But I have a trusted system for making sure all those things happen. Another great example of an altar space that can be super useful is what's called a working altar. A working altar is a place where people do ongoing spells for the month, for their intentions, whatever you happen to be working on right now. Anything that you're focused on, your definite chief aim, in the words of Napoleon Hill, can be a subject of an altar. While the spell is cooking, if you have a candle that has to burn for multiple days, or you're going to come back every day to revisit your intention so that you know that the energy is still working, or even if it's just one that you create and it just needs to sit there for a while, even if you're not pestering it. Having a working space like that can be super useful, especially if it's helping your subconscious remind you of what you are intending. And when I say remind you, I don't mean by worrying about it. Oh, is it happening? Is it not happening? Now, you don't want to do that. But sometimes having something in the back of your consciousness and trusting that the stuff is going on can be more useful than totally forgetting to align your energy with your cause to begin with. A working altar, again, depends on what you're doing. It might have a couple of candles on it just to illuminate the space. It might have a couple of your tokens of your chosen totem allies if you are asking them to help you with the ritual that you are working on. So your gods or your goddesses or your animal guides or anybody else that you happen to be working with. If you're an astrologer, those gods and goddesses might include all of the planets, so don't forget them. They like to be included in things. Might include all of those things. It also, if you're doing a working altar, might include some protection, just to keep outside influences away. So, depending on the tradition that you're working with, those jade dragons in the Chinese tradition are one form of protection. A circle of stones might be another form of protection. Again, up to you and how you are working. We also might create seasonal altars. Seasonal altars aren't that different than decorating your house for the holidays. They are an opportunity to get in touch with the background energy of where the sun happens to be, where the moon happens to be, and ground it in your life so that you are honoring your connection to the natural rhythms of life. As part of my Hour Keepers program, the Society for Hour Keepers, every month we go through what would be appropriate for creating a seasonal altar for every time the sun moves into a different zodiac sign. So all of the traditional correspondences and colors and scents and herbs and animals and things that might fit in. And then you create what makes sense for yourself. That doesn't mean go shopping and buy all this stuff. That means go around your house and find the things that align with that purpose. Has a couple of really useful things about it. One, as I said, it helps you connect to the divine energies of the moment, the natural cycles of the moment. Two, it helps you recognize what's in your space already in a new way by knowing what's aligned with what kinds of energies. And 3, it's a easy way once a month to learn the symbolic language of magic. You know, sometimes people are like, oh, they read one book on magic and they put it back on the shelf and they forget everything that you learned. It's totally different to actually work with it every day. Same problem that we have when we're learning any other kinds of language. If you took like a language class, let's say you wanted to learn Spanish and you went to class when you were in high school and you took 2 semesters. And now here you are 20 years later and someone drops you off in a Spanish-speaking country and that wasn't your first language. You might be struggling around for knowing what to say because you've never experienced it. You just had it in a book or maybe a classroom. It's totally different if you had lived there before and actually spoken the language. You know, things that you use on a regular basis, you don't forget, and they become much more integrated into your life. So, altars have many benefits. He said the 3 big ones are the home altar that's there for guarding your space, having a connection with holding the energy for when you're working through your day-to-day lives, reminding you to connect to spirit. A working altar, which is all about whatever intentions you happen to be having at the moment. A seasonal altar, which can change with the season so that you're connected with natural cycles. And then finally, we might have altars for specific areas of our lives that they're kind of related to working altars, but they're more permanent. So you might have an altar for your ancestors, which has pictures of all of your family members. You might have an altar for, I don't know, the sky's the limit. You might have an altar for relationships, and if you do feng shui, it might be in the relationship corner of your house, and all the people that you are in intimate relationships with. You know, the sky's the limit. What you can create. I mean, in some ways, if you have children and you hang all their artwork on the refrigerator, your refrigerator becomes kind of an altar to childlike creativity. You know, so. The purpose is to start thinking about the stuff that you have around your house already and what it is representing in a symbolic way. You know, my partner in crime for building Magic School, her name is Robin, and she was here in my house about 6 months ago or so. And she walked around and she's like, you have an altar on like every flat surface. And I don't think of it that way anymore because it's all part of my sacred landscape. But I can see how someone else walking into the space would go, wow, that's an altar, and that's an altar, and that's an altar, because I have pulled in energy of intention to everything that is around here. When I have a little time over the next couple of weeks, maybe I will take you on a tour. How would you like that? That could be an extra surprise tour. I'll figure out a way to work it into the video. I don't know if I can do it live, but I could film it and then stick it up. So I will put that on my to-do list when I have some time and my daughter is off vacationing in Europe. I won't have dishes all over the place when she's not here. Okay, so if you've got any questions, Karen's already saying, yes, please, we want to see your space. If you have any questions about altars, if you want to share your own altar pictures, please put them underneath this video, because the Crossroads of Magic and Mastery, like it sounds like, is not just a place where magic happens, because magic happens at the crossroads. It's a place where we can meet and come together and to share our own experiences. And that means putting up pictures, I don't know, asking people for other pictures or for ideas. We can brainstorm here. You know, also, if you happen to be writing your own blog posts, if you happen to be, have written books, anything else that can help inspire others is more than welcome here in the Crossroads of Magic and Mastery. So, wow, that 15 minutes went really fast. I'm glad we had this time together. I look forward to continuing our conversation. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how you create a ritual. But I'm going to use the example of how you create a space clearing ritual, because sometimes it's easier to understand the mechanics under the hood of a ritual if you have an actual ritual that you can dissect and take apart. And then once you understand what the elements of a ritual are, it becomes a whole lot easier to start constructing your own. And really, there are no better rituals than the ones you make for yourselves. All these books, you can consider them, you know, inspirational or ideas to get started, but a ritual you write yourself is always going to be more powerful than a ritual that someone else wrote for you. That's why magic is an experiential thing. We have to experiment with it and find out what works for us in our own internal language. Okay? So, until the next time, I look forward to continuing our conversation. I will talk to you all soon. Take care, everyone, and have a very magical day.